Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video here on the YouTube channel Spelfriendly Fellowship. My name is Andreas Norwegian Viking and this is episode 3 in the Wargames discussion series, where each week we take on a new topic and you contribute your comments on that topic in the comment section below. But first, every week we go through the comments regarding last week's topic and discuss that as well. So this week, obviously a less controversial topic than last week, so not as many replied, but we still have a few comments here, so let's go through them. So the discussion last week was how do you get the most out of your painting time, where I proposed a lot of different systems, like having a dedicated space as well, and if you don't have a dedicated space, have a dedicated tray or box with everything ready, so you can just pop the lid off the box or take the tray out, so the construction time of your painting area isn't that big. Alright, so first of all we have James Miniature Space. He says, great talk last week, Andreas, really nice to have a balanced discussion on both sides. Well, I try to bring both sides' arguments and opinions to the matter, so to have a good balanced discussion about it. Obviously the topic we had 2 weeks ago was yeah, not many people agreed, but that's fine. And yeah. So James continues on to this week's topic. As much as I wish I was attending tournaments, playing games, painting is the majority of my hobby. I get home around 7, so there's normally time to paint most evenings. Sometimes it's just finding the energy after work that's difficult. One thing I'm loath to play is a horde army, just for the amount of models moving, so I try to build all my armies with elite units and more heroes. This gives me a few models to paint, which I can do slowly to a higher standard. A lot of my purchases have recently been out of production sculpts that I've never had as a kid, which, to be honest, I've really enjoyed painting. I'm lucky enough to have a desk space that I keep hobby ready, like you do, but I try to stay minimalist and to keep my desk as clear as possible. Well, we are different there, my friend. I have, yeah, hundreds of miniatures and candy wrappers and boxes upon boxes of stuff and painting tools and everything on my desk, so I really need to be a bit more tidy, but as to say, an untidy desk is a creative mind. And continue on, I use the War of the Ring movement trays for my painting queue, and most of that is hidden away in drawers, but I keep 3 trays out with a mix of different models to keep things motivating and interesting. Currently battling through 30 plus high elves though. Alright, so thank you for the comment, James. As always, motivation is something that many people are struggling with when painting miniatures, especially if you're tackling high model count projects or something like that. For me personally, I always like to have a plan. I talked about this a bit last week. I am painting a Dunlenning army, which is currently coming along quite good. There are 54 Dunlennings on my painting table at the moment, and they're all their skin done. So that's wonderful. Hoping by this time on tomorrow they will be a bit more done than they are now. Trying to finish the 54 models by Monday the 13th. Alright, so buying out of production miniatures is often expensive, but they are quite awesome sculpts. Just looking at the Dunlennings, they are quite cool. And both the archers and the two-handed weapon guys, as well as the command group, is out of production. So I'm enjoying very much to do the SPG Grand Campaign stuff, because that allows me to paint models I would rarely have painted before. Like for instance, I just finished Shelob. Here she is. This is a model I don't think I would have painted in a long time if it hasn't been for the SPG Grand campaign, and I really didn't need to paint her before we are going to Return the King. But since Mirkwood spiders are so expensive, and I'm not justifying buying 18 of them, 12 is more than enough. We needed some extra filler models, so Spider Queen and three Spider Queens and a Shelob will fill the 4 models we lacked of the Mirkwood spiders. They're the same base size, so that'll be fine for the scenario, I think. And as you say, it's kind of rewarding to have some models you really like to paint, but I like to have a plan and also a carrot at the end of the stick. So for instance, I'm going to Desolation Stockport on the 8th of April. My plane leaves in the morning on the 6th of April. That means my army has to be finished by the 5th. So that leaves me about 40 days until, not 40 days, 30 something days before I have to finish my army, and that's a great motivator to get cracking on having that goal. So using tournaments, using the SPG Grand Campaign filmings as the carrot works very well for me to keep up my motivation. And to be honest, I've painted in the past 2 years, I've painted, must have been like 500 or something miniatures, or maybe even more, and I haven't lost my stride. That, of course, there has been like a week where I've painted less and played video games, or it's been a week where I've spent more time with my girlfriend than I painted. Obviously that's something you don't have to do, but it's nice to do something else than painting. But having that carrot gives me a priority list of what I need to paint, what I want to paint, and it's quite good. And one of the reasons I'm doing Done Learnings is that it gives me the opportunity to paint an army I have wanted to paint for a long time. But since we started doing the Grand Campaign, it's been mostly painting for that. But now I've got to pick, like, okay, I want this army, and that gives me a huge boost. War of the Ring movement trays is a good shout. They are good for keeping things tidy. I myself use proper trays, so I have many of my miniatures on top of a tray. The 90 models I'm painting for my Dunlearning army just fits on this tray, so that means I can just grab onto that and keep the rest hidden away. But I don't, because my table is a mess. But that's by the way. Right, so thank you for your comment, James. Please give your thoughts about this week's topic in the comment section also. So next up we have King Boneseye. Painting setups are very helpful, particularly for someone like me who hates setup. Having everything set out nicely is so helpful. Yeah, very helpful to get our motivation. Even if you just get like half an hour to an hour, having the ability to just drop your behind down on the desk and start just grabbing the brush, bring out the paint, couple of layers, and then you can do whatever else you want to do that evening or day, is quite cool. And you follow up with an extra comment, which is I often paint while listening to SPG podcast or podcast type videos. STF News, thank you, DCHL Light in the Dark, GBHL Speak for the Question, the Palante, Green Dragon podcast. When content on the whole is lacking, I often don't get to painting as much as normal, though if I have an important project I listen to videos I already have heard or music. On average I think I spend an hour a day painting, but it could easily be more. Well, one of the things I always say is, as long as you're painting, as long as you're doing some hobby time, not necessarily every day, but every week, or at least a sizable amount every month, you don't lose that mojo, you don't lose that step, because one of the key things that master painters and people who have a severe paint output always says is that if you take a break, it's harder to get into that painting mojo again. So for instance, if I'm like losing a couple of days or losing a week because I'm on holiday or something like that, I rarely, not really, but I usually, it takes me a couple of days before I get that brush stroke into my step again, which means it takes longer for me to finish models in the first few weeks after I had a break. It's not like riding a bicycle, it's more to do with the training and the feeling of the brush and stuff like that. I'm getting a bit like metaphysical about it, but I think that there's a truth to that. And yeah, I also do a lot of my painting time to stuff like DCHL Light and Dark, Speakford in Question, Planting, Green Dragon podcast. I also have, let's see if I can find it. I also have a good shout if you're interested in Tolkien lore, like the background from the books. There is a channel which is called Arachir Galudirithon, which is, it normally does like videos, sets up the medieval Total War mod, Divide and Conquer mod, the sub mod for that game, which is Lord of the Rings inspired, or not inspired, it is Lord of the Rings in medieval Total War 2, I think. But he does like monthly or bi-monthly a series of lore videos. So they are about an hour and a half long, and they have topics like, let's see if I can get some of the topics on here. Let's see. Yeah, the playlist is the Book of Lore of Middle-earth, and he has a video on the Ishtari, which I thoroughly enjoy, video about the dwarves, the creation of the dwarves. He has a video about the creation myth, the Lamroth, Numenor, yeah, the Ainulindale, the creation myth of Middle-earth. He has a video about Rohan, and it's just him talking with some pictures in the background, and it's very soothing. He has an extremely soothing voice, I find, so it's quite cool to listen to that and deepen my knowledge of Tolkien lore, because finding all those nice tidbits in all the books is it's quite tedious, especially the things from Silmarillion, which is a very bad book in my opinion. It is so horrifically written. It's written in the saga style, which is, as a Norwegian, it's a pain. I remember we had saga style in school, and it's so horrible to write and so horrible to read. Much better to listen to him and his incredible handle of the lore. So do check that out. It's as I said, it's Arachir, so ARACH, with a small of the I and R, and Galudirithon, GALUDIRITHON. So do check him out and do subscribe if you want to. He produces very nice videos. I don't watch the videos he does about the Divide and Conquer mod, because I don't play that game that much anymore, but I do check out all of his lore videos. And yeah, I'll paint to all of the podcasts and stuff you mentioned. Assembly, I usually watch a movie or a series, get that done. And if I'm just doing base coats, I can also watch series and movies because that doesn't require my attention so much. And I usually watch not bad series, but less interesting series. For instance, if I watch an episode of Game of Thrones, I do just zone into that episode. But if I'm watching like Grimm or Once Upon a Time, or like some of the dozens and dozens of series I watch, I can paint on the side. That's no worries. Right, so thank you for your comment, King Bones Eye. Please comment in this video as well. Appreciate that. And next up we have Waterman RP. I'll approach this from the standpoint of a few common obstacles and how to tackle them. First, motivation. I try to usually paint small and frequently rather than pull long marathons all the time. If you can paint for even 30 minutes a day, you'll make good progress. Small batches help, as if it's just one warband you're working on. You'll have time to knock out a color section on all inside your small window of time. The visible progress is better motivation than a huge pile of miniatures it takes an hour to apply one color to. So I'll respond to each of your sections. Pardon. So yeah, I can see your point. For somebody who struggles with motivation, I can see that is a huge bonus to do a single hero miniature after you, for instance, that's another point completely. If you do just one warband, an owl will do like a couple or 3 color strokes with highlights easily in an hour, and then you can do the next color when you get an hour more or something like that. And I totally agree with that. For me, it's just get every single miniature in an army, or get every single miniature of a single type and paint them all. That's my thing, because in my opinion that's motivation in itself. So for instance, I just did dozens of spiders. I've painted over the past few months, I've painted so many spiders. Now I know that I don't have to paint another spider for Middle-earth ever again, possibly, if there are more spiders released at some point. And that's a huge motivation for me, because they go in my beautiful cabinet and they're done, so I can scratch that off my list. So now I'm doing Dunlendings. It's all the Dunlendings I'll ever need. 48 warriors in with different hand weapons, 2 banners, 2 captains, and Thriden Wolfsbane. That's probably all the Dunlendings I'll ever need to paint. So when I'm done with that, it goes in the cabinet, and I can bring them to tournaments and scenario play as much as I want. So that's motivation for me. But as I said, we're all different people, so I do appreciate the different takes on it. Next up, you also have your second point, which is environment. As you say, having a dedicated space is important. How you can have efficient hobby space without having an entire hobby room. Yeah, I think I mentioned that last week as well. I have to keep things high as I have a toddler. So all my supplies and on-deck models are top shelf off my desk, and I keep a current project in a small wooden tray. My paint, another. And that leaves palette tiles, or one for paints and one another. And that leaves palette, tile, and water cup. This is all small and portable enough I can easily stow it and move around the house at my leisure. So yeah, keeping a hobby space is not necessarily a hobby room like I have. It is your section where you sit and work. That can be different places in your house or apartment. I know people who have a desk beside the bed and paints that way. I did that when I had my second apartment. I had that, and I know people who have like a tray which they take around the house. For instance, they can take it from TV to the dinner table to whatever like, and just sit where it's comfortable. So I agree with that. You don't need an entire room, you just need a space. Keeping things away from toddlers, yeah, totally agree, as well as dogs, cats, stuff like that. Might be more hard to keep it out of reach for cats though. I like to climb stuff, dogs not so much. So yeah, so thanks for your reply, Wargaming RP, and please comment on this video as well if that's interesting for you. So lastly we have Lundberg, that is the wonderful Real Gamers Use Dice pioneer Per Kenneth from Norway. So hello Mr. Beardman, you need to trim that by the way. Oh, thank you. I'm starting to like my my length. I do agree I need to trim it, but I haven't been bothered at all. Sides need trimming, they really do. So you say, as a man with 4 kids, I still manage to get between 3 and 4 hours of hobbying in every day. Probably more, but I'm not going to count hours after midnight. Like yourself, I also have a separate hobby room, so setting up is not really an issue for me. What I do, however, is to not have anything on my painting table that I'm not going to work on. I'll choose one task, for example an infantry of the same type, and I'll focus on these. When I finish, I'll put them away and plan my next project. I really think structure is the key to effective hobbying. See you soon. Thank you, Per, for your comment. So I totally agree with having one task. For me, one task is one army or one piece of every single miniature of the same type, like you say. But I also do have severe clutter issues. I have a tray with Blood Bowl miniatures on it, I have a tray with Guild Bowl models on it, I have blisters that are just unboxed, boxes of new purchases, bags of miniatures I've sold going out in the mail to people. I have so much stuff, but I know what everything is, so I really don't mind the clutter so much. What I usually do is I do a project and I'm so focused on that project, I'll just do that, and whatever happens to the painting table while I do that project is totally fine. So if I clutter, if I put stuff on the painting table, I still know where my paints I need is. And then when I finish a project, I usually do a tidy up of not just the painting table but the entire hobby room, because I'm a very cluttered guy. So I usually clean the floors, remove all boxes from underneath. Currently my dustbin is about 1 meter high. It is normally just 40 centimeters high, but it is now 1 meter high, stacking up garbage. And I usually take that out and stuff like that. So cleaning up is something I do between projects, but having a tidy desk is something I know a lot of people would need. Do look at lots of painting desks on YouTube channels and also on in groups. I have like MDF cutouts where you can put every neat bit of paint. I do have a system for my paint. It's in an old IKEA sock drawer thing, which I've put on the side. I think I showed you that in the last video. I'll do a quick one again. So there it is. So just put that underneath the shelf there. Fits just. You get a couple of millimeters to spare. And yeah, so good points all around for everyone. Thanks for your comments. So then we can move on to this week's topic, and this week I've chosen an SBG related topic because that's where most of the channel traffic goes, and that is regarding a couple of interesting points. So a while ago I reported that Forgel might be moving more into plastics. So there was a job advertisement on the Games Workshop like positions page where you can apply to jobs for a specialist games plastics designer, digital plastics designer, and really that is something that we have seen that they mostly do stuff in-house for specialist games. So for instance, the Blood Bowl miniatures, these lovely guys, are produced by members of a Forgel team. This is of course Phil Kelly's team that does Blood Bowl, and they have done all the miniatures for Blood Bowl, be that plastic or be that resin. So the plastics are released under Games Workshop's banner, and the resin is released under Forgel's banner. So I was thinking about a small number of pieces of information from various sources, and that is that we might be getting releases that we don't expect for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. And my mind immediately connected these 2 points. Now, I do think that the job application is especially designed for Adeptus Titanicus, Blood Bowl, and possibly other projects. Not necessarily Middle-earth, but I did instantly click these 2 together. So I'm thinking at some point we might get a new start set. So for those of you who are not initiated, a start set is a box where you get all you need to play. You get miniatures, you get the rulebook, you get dice, you usually get small pieces of terrain, and measuring tapes and reference sheets and stuff like that. So for instance, Goblin Town, Escape from Goblin Town box set is a start set. So was Mines of Moria, and so was the Return of the King, Two Towers, and Fellowship of the Ring, going back chronologically the wrong way around. And these boxes contained new miniatures, bar one of them. So what I mean for that is that the first box set we got was Fellowship of the Ring. We got 2 sprues of elves and Numenor, so that is of course the last line sprue. We got 2 sprues of Moria goblins in the first box. That's 48 miniatures, rulebook, some terrain was in there, and some dice and measuring templates. All that was included in that box, and it cost around 40 quid, I think, if my mind is correct. I think it was like 500 Norwegian at the time, 550 maybe. And then we got 2 towers. Cavalry was introduced, so we got 12 Riders of Rohan and 20 Uruk-hai. So 2 sprues for each. And again, you got the rulebook and you got some terrain. Then we got the Return of the King box, which was 24 Ministerial Warriors and 24 orcs, Mordor orcs. So for the first time we got Mordor orcs in plastic. Previously these have been in metal. So for instance, doing the scenario with 248 orcs was a bit of a chore. But this was the last like Lord of the Rings box tied into the movies as the movies came out. So this came out in November 2003. So that would be the main start set until the Mines of Moria box came out in 2005. The Mines of Moria was a different kind of box, because that was not just a start set for the movie, that was a start set for the game. And the new rulebook was included, a small version of it, and that is also the first time you got a small rulebook for the Lord of the Rings games. Previously you got the full-size rulebook in the box, so there was less hobby material in there, but less rules, so you didn't have the profiles for every model in the game. You did with the Two Towers and Return of the King stuff. You get profiles for every single model in the game, and also in the well, no, you didn't. You got profiles for the current miniatures from that game, from that film. So you still needed the other books to complete your rules collections. But that changed in 2005, where you got the new Big Blue rulebook, as it was called, where in the hardback rulebook you can buy separately. You got the profiles for everything, bar something that has been done in source books. And in that box you got heroes for the first time. So until this point, the heroes you had to buy separately. You didn't get any heroes in the boxes. So this released Plastic Fellowship, Cave Troll, and put in 24 Moria Goblins as well from the release 4 years earlier, as well as loads of terrain. So this was the most terrain heavy box we got for the Lord of the Rings games, and that was the main box for years and years until we got to the Hobbit. So in the Hobbit, in 2012, we got Thorin's Company with Bilbo and Gandalf, plus the limited edition, which is still on sale, got Radagast, as well as 36 Goblin Town Goblins, the Goblin King, Scribe, Grinner, and a very small goblin you could use for a captain, and loads of terrain for Goblin Town. So also a very terrain heavy box. So my main thing today is, what do we want if we're getting a new starter set for the Middle-earth Strategy Battle game? What do we want in it? And this is an interesting question though, because we are getting Middle-earth Strategy Battle game. This is for certain. The logo is done. They are completing the Hobbit first, and then they will probably go back to the greater Lord of the Rings Hobbit universe, drag out something, release source books from different time periods and different scenes, and revise the army lists. Maybe discontinue after a while the source books we now have, and for instance you can have the War of Rohan. So that means you get more profiles, more models for Rohan and Isengard, and those two armies will, with all their different army lists, because I don't think that we will have one Rohan army list and one Isengard army list. I think we will have several different army lists within that topic. So they can release one book with more scenarios, more models, more profiles with those kind of models in. And at that time I do think we might get a new starter set. So if this is 2017, 2018, 2019, I don't know. Most sources say either late 2017 or 2018, but we will see. But in that case, what do I want the contents of that box to be? And there's key things you have to take in account to making a start set. It has to be, nowadays at least, it has to be completely playable army or completely playable faction. So the days of having no heroes in the box would probably be over, and you'll have to maybe use the warband system, if that's staying for the next edition. We don't know. I hope it does, because I think the warband system is wonderful. Does help against 72 elves with bows, or half of them with bows. So I have two options. I think one of them is more interesting than the others, and you can tell me in the comments what you think about my two suggestions, and also come with your own suggestions. So the first one is, it might be very obvious, but it might also be wrongly timed. Now I want a Battle of the Five Armies box set, and I think I talked about this in like January of 2015, where like rumors about the new team and stuff like that was starting to come out, and I do think I talked about what I wanted in that box then, but I'll repeat that now. So obviously for the Battle of the Five Armies you need the 5 armies. Now the 5th army is always a point of discussion. Is it the Eagles? Is it the 2nd army of Orcs? Who knows, really. But I think that the box should include one good, one evil force, obviously. And the good force I want with no named characters would be 12 multi-part Iron Hills warriors, with the options to make mattocks, spears, shields, crossbows, with a captain on goat with a dismount option, 12 Lake Town militia with a Lake Town captain, so various weaponry. Could be a multiply kit, could be a non-multiply kit, and 12 Mirkwood elves with an elf captain. So this rounds the army out for a total of 39 models, 40 if you include the dismount. And for the other side, 24 Gundabad Orc warriors. I would like to have warbats, like a small contingent of warbats, 1 or 2 captains for that army, and a troll. So that rounds the army out. The troll could be the brute, or it could be the brute could actually be a good shout, because that looks like an intricate piece to do in resin, and might be better suited for plastic. In addition, the rider of the brute is of course a Gundabad Orc warrior, and that ties into the rest of the army. Quite cool, I think. So in addition to a small size version of the rulebook, some dice, some measuring sticks or something, and small pieces of scatter terrain. Now the Battle of the Five Armies didn't have that much terrain on it, so I'll just settle for piles of rocks, because that's something we rarely get. We have gotten pieces of ruins, but not like pieces of rock. I know you could make that, but it is wonderful to have ready-made terrain inside a box. So I looked at some of the recent box set releases. For instance, the Betrayal of Calth box for 40k. So if we go to box games, Betrayal of Calth, you have, in the Betrayal of Calth box you have 30 Space Marines plus 5 Terminators plus a Contempted Dreadnought and 2 characters, for a total of 38 models. And these are quite big, big in size. That cost about £100, 90 to £100. So the Burning of Prospero box had 30 Space Marines, 5 Sisters of Silence, 5 Custodians, and 2 characters in it. Plus 5 Terminators. So that had 47 models in it, and was priced for the same thing. So for my suggestion, it would be about 80 models, but many of them would be smaller than this, but then again the license thing might be a problem. So you could of course remove Lake Town and remove some of the orcs and stuff like that and make it fit with the price a bit better, but this is what I want out of a Hobbit start set. So for my other take, I think that the main spirit of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit structure battle game is scenarios. So to do a box from one single scenario, so an iconic scenario from the movies, is something I think would be very, very cool. So not to say that the Battle of the Five Armies isn't, but that's a broad picture. So if you just take one single moment from the movies, I would like to have the ambush at Amon Hen. So that would of course be the Fellowship minus Gandalf. You would have Lurtz. You could also include Mauher or any of the other Uruk characters, and all characters that were in the book there as well. Could possibly be some license issues with having both in at the same time, but who knows. And many Scout Uruks, in addition to the wonderful terrain piece which would be Amon Hen, and some piles of rock, and you'd of course include in the booklet how to do trees, or where to get trees, or they can release more trees. Who knows? But I think that would be a cool scenario, because Amon Hen scenarios is, in my opinion, one of the coolest scenarios to play. I think the scenario is very well balanced and could be quite iconic to have. You could do introductory games where Gimli, Aragorn and Legolas are struggling to get to Boromir, and Bilbo is there as well, through Lurtz and all of the other Uruks, like hacking away, and Boromir all on his own, blowing the horn Gondor, and quite an iconic scene. If you have watched the GBHL video where they did the 3-part series, I think it is, that is cool battle reports and cool games all in all. And I think that could be a cool thing as well, because you get a very nice big scenery piece. You get like 35 to 40 models in the box, and a big scenery piece, as well as a new rulebook, a small leaflet version of that, and the other things you need for gaming. So that's my 2 takes on what to have in the box. Do you have any suggestions? What do you think would be in a box if it were ever released? So bear in mind, I'm not telling you that this will actually happen. I'm telling you that there might be a possibility regarding some of the comments we had at the seminar, and also some of the job listings that has been applied to. In addition to the Middle-earth team telling us that everything is selling way better than they expected, and that means they obviously recoup their investments, and that means that plastic production, which is an investment as well, might be a valid option for them, because it's cheaper to produce in the long term than metals. Sorry, not metals, resins. So yeah, do comment below with what you think. As always, guys, please comment, like, share and subscribe. Do check out our Patreon in the description below and support your hobby.